Doesn't anybody pop on
Oh, it looks like somebody has. Oh, here we go. Oh, so there's a delay. We're going to...
I turned my volume off.
Sorry about that. Yeah, we were a little bit late because somebody drove into our yard. Silence my own phone before, do everything else. Hey! I see we got Corbin. Hi, Corbin. I see you logged in. Sorry, I'm cleaning out my brushes before I start actually painting. And double checking them all. Like little tiny ones. Little tiny. Can you even see that? How small that guy is? Alright, so this is going to be different than the way I did my last couple of streams. I decided that while I love doing the campaign diaries and love talking about D&D, what I really enjoyed was talking about like the epic stuff that we were doing. And while keeping track of trying to do once a week, every other week, and keeping up with 2 campaigns was just way too much work. So even though I've canceled one of those campaigns at this point, I'm down to 1 again. I figured I'm going to just do the parts I enjoy, which I'm going to talk about the highlights and stuff, and then answer questions, and because people kept asking me the questions about stuff. And then there was a suggestion was made about showing off what I do when I come to painting stuff. And so I'm going to talk about, I'll talk a little bit about like what I'm doing when it comes to painting some of the miniatures. You guys will actually get a chance to see some of the stuff that my campaign is about to hit. I'm going to work on this guy in a bit. You guys will get a better one when I turn. This camera is my crappy camera on my laptop, so but this won't be here very long, and then we'll switch over to the overhead view with that. Which actually, I might as well do that now so you guys can see that, because this is a much better one. Here we go. Oh no! Huh! I'm all kinds of like not in the right spot with my camera. Whoa! Sorry about that. Apparently things reset when I did it. Hold on a minute, guys. Whee! Hey, there we go. That looks a lot better, I hope. I'll fix it later. Okay, so at this point, you guys should be seeing what's coming through the main camera. Or not. Okay. Why is it not working? Give me a minute. New setup. There we go. I think it's because I hadn't restarted Streamlabs and I was playing around with it. So yeah, this will be one of the guys that I just printed out on my 3D printer. So we're going to pull off all this flocking and supports that I did. And I'll see about actually painting him up. If you already know or play D&D and you know what this guy's going to be, feel free to let me know. Yeah, so we'll pull him apart too. I'll just have fun. And maybe that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do like I normally do on most evenings. Normally I sit there in front of my TV and do this while watching TV. But I'm going to do it here and let you guys see it a little bit. And my beautiful wife is standing here next to me. Oh, and if you really want to be happy, I will point out the fact that behind me is all of our new tapestries for the new game room that we did. And now I froze up. If you look in the corner. Yeah, I froze up in the corner. Ugh.
Ow.
Why are my webcams not working the way they should? The dog hit you?
Nope, I have a cat on my lap.
Oh.
I have a big gear up, trying to be cute, but very painful, because he's a fat ass.
Alright. I don't know why my main camera is not working. Or my other camera is not working. Technical difficulties! How's that? Is it working now? Hey, it's working now. I just had to deactivate it and turn it back on again. Now we got both cameras working. Yay, technology! Yeah. Alright, there we go. Thank you for coming along, everybody. Alright, so yeah, if you can tell me what this is, pop quiz, once I get into that. You know what, I might as well do that now. I get a lot of questions about the fact that I do a lot of 3D printing of my model sets and everything. And so if you ever want to get into it, I will be more than happy to tell you exactly what I did and what companies I've been using and what printer I bought, and actually soon to have a second printer because I begged. And we will. I actually built a cabinet even in this beautiful game room with our new tapestries. I think I tried to point that out and it didn't work. But yeah, beautiful tapestries. I got all my minis behind me. In our wonderful game room that we play our D&D sessions in. I'm going to do a lot more photos. We've got a couple more tapestries to hang up, and once we do that, we'll get some more photos of the finished product and the cabinets for the 3D printer, or the cabinet for the 3D printers that we'll take some pictures of. The goal is to just get everything down here and actually out of the office, so that so before when we'd game, I'd have to clean up the dining room table, because we do it on the dining room table. I'm pretty sure if you've followed me on any of my social medias, you've seen the fact that I have a whole bunch. You know, I set everything up on the dining room table, and I have to tear it all down. You know, because I can't just leave it up. Even when I had a game going on the next day, I'd have to tear everything down and then get ready for the next one. Oh, there he goes. Yeah, check that out. Yeah. Oh, not on the camera. And then this is the base that printed out, and it's going to go right in there. Oh, it's spinning. It's like, wee! Oh, it's not even on the camera again. I got to remember, I got to keep my hands forward. There we go.
There you go.
All right.
You got to keep it close to the water bucket.
Yeah, check that out. I like that. So yeah, this is one of the ones I just printed out. There's an awesome dude, and I will try and remember his name, who has been releasing every single monster from D&D as an STL file, modeling them out, and they're giving away for free. His happiness is just seeing his models on tables when he shows up, back when we could do conventions, and he'd walk out and see his models and everything on tables. And this is one of his, and I can't remember. It's like MZ1402 or something like that on Thingiverse. And this is one of his. I used his for the Red Dragon that I printed off and used a while back when they fought the Lava Dragon. And in retrospect, I should have just used the one I bought, because I think this guy was a lot cooler looking, you know. Okay, we'll do this one. Lava Dragon! Alright, anyway, that's me just being goofy. Alright, so we're going to paint him later. But that was all the supports he had. It's a little bit bad back here. Wait for the camera to focus. It's a little bit bad. You can see the layer lines got a little bad around the base where it first originally touched down on the back of it. But this is the very, very back of the model. And so a little bit of sandpaper and stuff like that will be able to take care of that. But the front of it, where everybody's actually going to be looking, which was the top of the model when I printed it, totally came out looking pretty rad. I could get into the specifics, but it basically boils down to the fact that the newer slicer from Cura now actually uses adaptive layers, and it makes the layers thinner when it needs to within a variance. So you can get a lot more detail out of it, out of just an FDM printer. I can get you into 3D printing for about $200. Anyway, alright, we'll go into that in a minute. I'm going to paint him up later. Most of the time you guys see me posting the pictures of the tiles, though. So this is one of the finished tiles that I worked on last week. Pro tip, if you're going to do tiles and stuff like this, when you paint them, stick the clips inside of the slots. I will accidentally get a bunch of buildup of paint and glue and shit in here. And then you're hammering your clips in the first time you use that tile because you had a bunch of buildup and the clips don't fit right. But yeah, this is one of the ones I just finished up. This is actually part of the castle series, and the only reason I can tell the difference between the castle and the dungeon, they have the same wall textures that they were used, and these are the Fat Dragon tiles, by the way, is the floor. The floor is a little different. Oh, we need a new microwave. What? I apparently missed whatever was in that. Because I'm not seeing whatever comment you're responding to.
I was making a comment.
Okay. Gotcha. Never mind. Alright, there we go. So this one's basically done. And this was just some dry brushing over a standard gray that I used, and then did a black wash, and then gray over the top of it. But I'm more or less done with these. So, yeah, those are actually going to go in the bins, which are way over there. So let's just keep doing that. I'm just going to start bringing more and more. You guys are actually here for the painting, not necessarily everything else. So, I'm going to get my brushes out of the way of my water. Yay, toast. Let's see, where are we at with these guys? I think I just needed to lay down a little bit more gray over the top. One of the things you can actually... this is one of the models that failed on me when I was printing it. I don't know if you guys can actually see that in it. But if you look in the bottom, it actually, you can see the color differential, or difference, whatever. You can see the difference.
The color change.
It was a black filament that I was fighting with, hardcore printing with this stuff, and it gave out the ghost, but this bottom, quarter printed fine, and so I printed the rest of it in the next round of filament I got, which was hot pink, because it was on clearance at Joann's. And it's some great filament, by the way. Polaroid. I love the Polaroid filament. That's a whole other story. But I'm going to try and actually get this to match up. You can tell the difference right now. I'm pretty sure if I throw some more gray over the top of it, I can make most of these highlights of pink disappear. So that's going to be the goal. And so it's going to be dry brushing time. And if you've never done dry brushing techniques, and this is what happens when you let your daughter use your paint tray, by the way. Just letting everybody know that. It's still got paint in it.
Do I need to clean it?
No, I'm going to use one of the bigger bins, which I thought I had, but apparently I don't. But that's fine. So I'm just going to use the lid. Oh, and the nice thing also when you put the clips on there is the clips actually allow you to hold onto it without actually holding onto the part that is wet still. So dry brushing, if you have never done dry brushing, and I'm going to say this every time I go through it in case anybody else is new, is the fact that we're going to put a little bit of paint on the brushes and we're going to get most of it off of it at the same time. And I know this sounds redundant and sounds silly, the fact that I'm just wiping paint right back off, but what you want is you only want a little bit of paint actually in the brush when we go back and forth over the top of it. So that's the funny part. Anyway, so what do I'm talking about the painting at this point. Talk about the D&D, right? So favorite moments recently in the Wandering Few, and I'm going to talk about this one probably because she's down here with me right now, but in recent developments in the Wandering Few, Remy finally came across her mother in the sewers of the Empire City that the group came into, and found her alive and was told that her father had died but didn't. And I pulled off a great manner of being able to sneak that in and have us end with her finding her mother. And then ended the session. And then we had to miss a week. So she was even more upset with the fact that we had to wait a week before going back in and being able to finish up that storyline. We're still not done because as they were talking with the mom, assassins, people showed up, ruined the happy reunion, because that's what you do when you've got a story you're telling. Mm-hmm. It's true. If it was nothing but all fun and happiness, then it wouldn't be as exciting. But we did have Remy and have a nice conversation and learn about what had happened and the fact that her mother was under the control of her father through some kind of magic, most likely. What kind of magic you still haven't figured out yet, or we haven't gone into yet.
Haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah. Having a Rakshasa show up and interrupt your family gatherings.
Mm-hmm.
And you can blame Matt Mercer for that one. I totally stole the Rakshasa from the fact that he got to stab somebody with one.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't like that.
Mm-mm.
But it was good. I really liked it. I'd been planning on that sequence, by the way, since we started it. Like, I knew that that's where your mom would be since Remy joined the Wandering Few. And then when we put it on pause even, like, I already had it written in that she was in the sewers of Racem just waiting.
So for over a year.
For over a year. It was the perfect spot, in my opinion, for her to be hiding out, because it would be the change of scenery and the unexpected. Like, that makes sense?
Yeah.
Let's see, what other things have we done recently that were a lot of fun? We'll talk about like. Well, actually, you know what? I don't think since it's been like months since I've done a campaign recap, we can go all the way back to what you guys took. I threw a small little one like side quest at them, and it turned into something that took. I don't know, how long were you guys on the pirate island? Like in game, it was only like a week, like 3 days, like 3 days to a week. But the outside of the game,
About a month?
yeah,
I think it took us about 4 sessions.
it took us 4 or 5 sessions to get through this. What was supposed to be a very simple. I threw a pirate encounter. They were on a ship, and I had the pirates take over the ship they were on, and it could quite have easily gone one way, where they just simply let the pirates have the ship, or fought the pirates, beat them back, and then took the ship and continued on to race them. As it was, the pirates pled with them and said that they were having problems and issues, and they wanted help getting resolved. And that's how they ended up going to a Thundering Cove pirate island, which basically was my version of oh shoot, what's the one in Pirates of the Caribbean? The pirate island. Shoot. Oh, I can't think of it right now. But it was my version of that, and they had. It turned into 4 or 5 sessions where we ended up with them going down and freeing a band of pirates from their captor. Del Morta? No, Tortuga. That's what I was thinking of. I was thinking of the island Tortuga. I was thinking of the island Tortuga. Now that we've been painting for a bit, I think I'm going to try and tip this back. There we go. That's more centered. And I was thinking Tortuga. But with Tortuga, my version of Tortuga, and they had a blast there, saving them from a band of refugee mind flayers. Which, Corbin, if you're still watching, is exactly why I kind of threw them at you, because I already had mind flayers on the brain, and I like mind flayers. I feel like they're underappreciated. Once Spelljammer was never continued after 4E, or was it 3? I can't remember when they stopped really doing Spelljammer. I like Spelljammer. Let's have adventures in the abysmal sea on floating pirate ships. Let's see, what other things did we talk about on? Let's see, what other ones did we do recently with the Wandering Few? Did.
There was Angie and her whole sword shit.
Oh, yeah. That was something I was very happy to pull off with a very new player. So if she ever watches the recap of this, or watches this when I upload it to YouTube, I was really impressed with my player, Sarah, who plays Angie in the Wandering Few. Brand new to D&D. Her sister's been playing with us. Her sister plays Solona. And we were looking for another player, and this is the way, by the way, I do all my tile painting. Like, I will go through and do one thing on this tile, and then we throw it to the side, and I grab another one. And what you don't see is off camera back here, I have a tray full of all the tiles that I've been painting. And I just go through and just do the same thing. So, like, it's all gray, all dry brushing, all the white, black washes, stuff like that. But yeah, no, so brand new player to role playing in general, as well as D&D, came to me with the concept of doing this human fighter, a simple character, really nice, easy for her to play, not a lot of spells to have to keep track of or anything like that, and on the whole, has actually had some really great experiences. But I was able to give her a background and a storyline that she kept secret for almost 2 years of us playing. Now, there was a hiatus in there, so it wasn't like we're playing the entire time, but she still kept that background a complete secret, even with the fact that at one point, towards the end of the first chapter, during a major boss battle, we had our paladin come back, Magda, and there was a hint of what was to come when Magda picked up her Angie's sword to throw it back to her during that the big boss battle fight encounter in the Dreamspire. And the secret was the sword was cursed and was slowly taking possession of her body. What everybody else did not know is the fact that every time they slept, Angie was rolling to see if the sword took over. So they had this wonderful... And the other part of this, I'm willing to share this now because of the fact that this part of that storyline's over. Every time Angie got the kill shot on a creature, it made the difficulty of her roll go up by 1. Now, it started relatively low when they started this. And remember, she not just when she hurt something, she had to actually make the kill. She had to make the kill with the sword, and then it would absorb the soul, basically, or the energy is kind of how it was written, because it was possessed by an evil sorcerer, necromancer type who was trying to use the sword's original powers for his own divine, own good, their own intentions, I should say. And so they had this, anyway, they get down to this Illithid city, and the reason it went so hard is because up to this point, Angie had not actually gotten the kill shots on a lot of things. She'd gotten, done a lot of damage, and she'd been part of a lot of them, but she hadn't actually killed that many. But then while in the pirate city and fighting charging at the Illithid pyramid, she managed to kill herself something like almost 7 or 8 creatures. And so the difficulty for her roll for the sword possession, which happened once right before they went in, went from a 15 to a 21. Because I think I made it cap off at 21. I wanted to give her a chance of actually still succeeding. So they got to the point where it was there. They kept it a secret. They knew something was up when they started off in the Illithid city because of the fact that at one point she started to leave in the middle of the night. Obviously not herself. And after they fought with her, they brought her back and tried to keep her sword from her, but it kept teleporting back to her and stuff like this. And but there was no more long rests after that incident. You guys took one long rest, and she did pass it, but that was before you guys went into the big city. But yeah, 2 years in, and she finally, if you flip this over, cat, we are gonna have issues. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only Twitch streamer who's ever had a cat decide to try and upstage them. Hi, Bagheera. Just step on all the tiles. That's fine. It's going to be harder if I try and move him. He'll fight it. But yeah. They get done with the Illithid city. They're going back. They're getting ready to leave. They're spending the last night on their pirate ship. And the next day they're setting sail to head back to the main quest. Getting done with the side quest. And she has to roll 21, and she biffs it. Sword completely takes her over. They fight with her. The party fights with their fighter for a moment or two. I think it was only like 2 rounds. I think you guys fought with her.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
I started having her continue to make saving throws though at a lower rate. I think I dropped it back down to something like a 15 or something for her, because she was already possessed. Now she's fighting to get back control, and she succeeded. It forced the possessing shadow out of her. So this necromancer then is flying around with the sword on this pirate ship, attacking everybody, creating zombies out of their own crew as it slaughters them and sucks the life out of them. And eventually they do defeat this creature and free the sword from its possession. Just to have the sword start talking to her after giant beams of moonlight come down and focus on the sword, and it floats over to Angie, kind of offering itself, and then they hear it talking to her again, and introduces itself as Valgras the Faithkeeper, and it is originally was a weapon of I want to say it was Saloon is the one I decided on by the end of it, and it's one of the goddesses of the moon is what we ended up with going with.
Yes.
Originally, I thought about going a different one. It was actually ice based as opposed to being the moon. This is true Twitch streaming live right here when I have a cat literally crawling down me, clawing my chest.
Yeah.
You.
Yes,
No,
everyone, meet
I'm done.
Hare.
Honey, would you please come and take this
Yes.
cat because just tried to pierce my nipple. I'm pretty sure I'm bleeding.
15-pound cat.
Thank you.
Bowie, move. Bowie. Gotta drop the cat, and I don't want to drop him on the dog.
I'm going to install a door to this room next. Alright, so, yeah. They keep it, so, yeah, now she has an intelligent sword that has now been told to her is one of the weapons of the champions of Sorloon and a goddess of the moon. And I did say this, and I can't remember, I said it just to her, but you'll probably hear it eventually. When she finally found, she then decided that she was, because the player was missing a game that day. The next time we were meeting up, she had to miss it because it was finals and she's a nurse, or a nursing student. So she had to miss it. I did a private thing with her.
Stop.
As her going up to the champion, going to the church and making her oath to become a champion of Sorloon. Saloon? I'll have to look up the pronunciation on that again. So we played that out privately over a phone call and everything. And she was told that she takes her oath, she is now a champion of Sorloon, and she joins the ranks of the lunatics. Because I like bad puns.
You are a bad pun.
I am a bad pun. So, that was great. And I let her make the choice, and she decided she was going to do it. Again, this is a brand new player, never really played, but she's been playing the same character for 2 years. I asked her if she was willing to stretch her wings and maybe try some stuff out, and I don't think she's actually announced this to the rest of the players, but Calla, my wife, who's sitting here, who plays Remy, I'm pretty sure can non-metagame this and be surprised when it happens, as Remy. I asked her if she wanted to take a level in Paladin when they leveled up at the same time. So now she actually is a level 8 fighter with 1 level of Paladin. And so I think she's going to have a lot of fun with it. They haven't really, guys, I don't think you guys actually even got into the big storyline, because she did talk to Valgris a bit, but I don't think she finally got the whole...
We have yet to hear exactly what happened when she went to the mountain, because we had just met back up with her, and suddenly we were being dragged into the sewer and dealing with my mother.
Well, I thought you guys might take more time with that, but you guys ended up going on this big shopping trip kind of thing.
We had to disguise ourselves.
Yeah. But this has been the first major city you guys had been in
So we
since
needed
getting
provisions.
paid by the pirates.
We needed provisions.
And I think actually, even though you guys were in and out of the last big city back when because the last time you were in a big city was Lord Thomas, and you guys were like, "Yep, we're going to go to race him," and then you spent a week and unfortunately burning a lot of provisions while you guys were fighting Illithids.
Yeah.
And got paid a lot of money, which I think was some of it. You guys had some money burning holes in your pockets. I know that Lore did. Lore had some serious money in his pockets, and he seriously wanted
he wanted an upgrade.
He wanted some upgraded shields and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, we also got some cool equipment. And I'm pretty sure that I probably won't ruin too much for you, because you probably have already figured this out when I told you this was like godlike armed weaponry and stuff that was used in previous wars. I'm totally stealing from Matt Mercer and the idea of actually having equipment level up with the players. So the players have been finding, I'm not calling them vestiges like he did in Vox Machina, but I am using that same concept where every player is going to at least get one item that's going to level up with them as they go, that fits what they're doing. So with Angie and being a fighter paladin, this is basically like her Holy Avenger. I'm going to have it level up with her, so while it's not a full-on Holy Avenger now, when we get to the point where she's at level like 15, 16, it'll level up with her, do more damage, unlock new abilities, unlock new spells. And so every person I've designed, I have a weapon or piece of equipment for every player that you guys will find.
Okay, now Remy's curious on what I'm finding.
That will be that type of equipment that's going to level up with you. Not all of its weapons, some of its other stuff. I have found a couple other, but equipment that will eventually level up with you as you guys go. So, yeah, keeping secrets for like 2 years is awesome, by the way. I will say that. Being able to pull that off was really cool to be able to do that. I really loved keeping a secret for 2 years and having the player play along. Because Sarah, the new player who plays Angie, being new, came to me and she's like, I want to have a tragic backstory. Okay, cool, fine, we'll make it. What do you want to do? I want my village to be destroyed. And she couldn't think of anything more than that. And I was like, okay, so do you care if I take that tragic idea of your whole village being destroyed and I run with it? And she's like, yeah, let's do that. And so I turned in this like 2-line, my village was destroyed and I'm the only survivor and my family was killed in the village. And I turned it into this like 2-page short story of how the village was destroyed and gave her it, and then she ran with it. And then again, she kept her own history, her own backstory, a secret from her own sister who she's living with at the time. Mm-hmm. And they were carpooling. Apparently the first night when they first were talking about it, Annie, who plays Salona, was grilling her sister about like her backstory, and her nope, you guys will find out later. Yeah, it was awesome. It was really cool. I loved it. And then to find out, but then to have that sword. Oh.
So Matt says not being able to tell the players all your evil awesome plans until they find it.
Well, and this one, actually, so the funny thing is that I had the evil plan set, and Sarah knew that the sword was cursed, that this big, badass, powerful sword she's been whipping around doing necrotic damage to things was not good. But in her opinion, it was a way of she knew the sword was bad, and she knew it was doing bad things to her, but it was super powerful, so she was going to keep using it to do good. So she kept on with it. But yeah, then to have it finally try and take over, possess her body, they kick the demon out, and now she's actually found out that Valgras was actually the intelligent sword, that was the real personality that's been sitting in the background watching all the horrible things that she's done, which eventually it's going to make fun of her for. Because why not? Okay. Oh, I still have like one more gray one to do, and then we're gonna switch colors. And this is Alan doing quick and dirty dry brushing, because that's what you do. This is one of my little demon altars from Fat Dragon. I love it. Is it focusing? No, it's not focusing. Focus. I can't tell if it's focusing or not.
There you go. No. A little bit better. There you go. Now you got a little better.
Yeah. If you have, and actually now that I know that the Brennans have logged on, hey Matt, if you want free STL files from a pretty decent publisher, sign up for the newsletter from Fat Dragon. Every month he gives away one style of free STL. Sometimes it's minis that don't need supports, and sometimes it's terrain tiles, and sometimes it's just random stuff. Like this was one of the ones he gave away for free in one of his bundles a while back. Another one which I saved is a owl bear rug, which I'm waiting to print out and put in some sorcerer's house, which I think would be really cool. Yeah, this is Haven's quick and dirty dry brushing with grays, because I'm quick and dirty. People, like other people, are much more detailed when they come to their miniature painting, but I'm painting tiles and tons of tiles. So, and we're about to switch colors because we're about to go.
No wash first? Question mark.
I did. The wash was much earlier and it's dried. So that was earlier in the week. I did the black wash. So these guys were.
Do you have any that you haven't done any sort of painting on? Any of the tiles? So you can show, like...
No. I think I have at least a base, but I have some of them on a little bit. So this was originally a hot pink tile. So the lighting, unfortunately, is a little bright. But yeah, it was a hot pink filament. I did a primer coat and then I did plain just gray over most of it. Then I did 2 different washes of just plain black and then a grayish black. And now I'm going back over and putting a little more lighter gray over the top just to highlight everything out. So that's why that was the whole process. But I do this in stages because I don't really have a good way of showing this. I have literally a tray full of tiles. So it's easier to just do one thing on all of them and then cycle them past and then go back in and keep doing the rest of them. So
assembly lines.
Assembly line. It's so much easier. So now we're gonna move on to I got these sewer tiles, which I think are really sweet. This one actually has a little sewer outlet that I have water I can print that can spill out, and I'm gonna do that in the blue translucent filaments and then do a little bit of painting on it.
Your wife got you a shit ton of filament?
Yeah, I got a shit ton of filament, and so this is really funny though. For an FDM printer, you notice a lot of this was painted in the hot pink. For some reason, nobody wanted hot pink, so it was on clearance, and so I bought like 3 or 4 spools of it.
Something like that.
Because I'm painting it this way, and like you saw with the grays. Now this one I've only done a single layer of brown, like a dark burgundy brown on it.
It's Fat Dragon is the...
Yeah, Fat Dragon is the company. And I want to see you sign up on the website for their newsletter. So, Fat Dragon Games. And now, Matt, now that you have a 3D a resin printer, I will totally send you a bunch of the stuff that I keep finding for free signing up, because I go after the terrain pieces.
There we go.
I can send you a bunch of the STL files I've managed to collect. I think I have a bundle that is pre-supported zombies that's like 10 or 15 of them all clustered together, so you can just print them all as one big batch. That was a pretty cool STL file I found, again, because I'd sign up for everybody. There are tons of people who just give out STL files on their newsletters or as part of their free once a month teaser stuff to get you to join their Patreons and stuff like that. So the overall for these guys, by the way, is going to end up being, and here's the next stage. I'm trying to make these look like a red brick sewer system. So I have the hot pink that was originally. I've done a little bit of brown. I'm laying some gray in, and then I'm going to go back in and start pulling back out the individual bricks with the red and brown dry brushing to try and pull them back out again. And then I will also probably end with, I've got some liquid green, like a green fluid, that I'm hoping to make it look like it's some algae and stuff in the center of the sewer. Kind of mucky, kind of nasty looking. So yeah, so we're going to start off with, actually, because that's why I grabbed these ones. I have a couple I still need to put some of the gray on. So we're going to do that. And where's my gray wash? Oh, I didn't grab my little bin from upstairs.
What do you need?
I'll just reuse one of these. I was just going to, I have bigger bins for doing this because I'm doing assembly line, and like little tiny minis, yeah, a little pool is fine. You can do a little bit of it. Not a problem. When you do assembly line, I have little buckets because you're doing 50 tiles at once. But
hold on.
I'll need it for the other stuff.
No, give me a second.
Okay. And I am not a decent. I wouldn't even call myself a decent painter. I am just a guy who enjoys painting, and I'm okay at it. This is how I focus and deal with stress. I used to be good back in the day when I would paint. But again, the thing is that I never was great at it, but I was really good at painting a lot of minis quickly.
I think I got something down here. I don't feel like running upstairs.
I had a problem with doing when I played Warhammer 40K back in my teenage years. I had a bad tendency of always loving the armies that had lots of minis, orcs and Imperial Guard and such, and so I would have to paint up 60, 70 minis just to get a decent army where everybody else could do 20. So yeah, I would do that, and so I got really good at doing like dry brushing and washing, just quick coats over everything bring out the details, and then go in with a tiny detail brush and just grab out like the daggers on their sides and the pouches and stuff like that, and a little bit for the eyes, and call it good. And they're painted, and then I can go play Warhammer weekends. But I wasn't. I was good, but I was never great, and I still am not. But I've gotten good at doing this, which is like heavy duty washes and dry brushes to just bring out details and stuff like that. Yeah, and I'm overcritical of myself anyway, so. But I think that's the bard in me, so.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the reason why I switched over to doing live videos, is I was so critiquing of the videos I would film that it would take me forever to finish one, because I'd be like editing and editing and editing and not happy with the way it turned out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm way too forward when I'm painting the Serio. Sorry about that. Yeah, I am a sloppy washer. But the funny thing is that like a lot of this is going to dry, and it's going to end up, even though it looks like this now, when it's done, it'll dry like that. And so it'll come in and look a little bit different. Oh, yeah. Focus, Alan. There you go. It'll look a little bit, it'll just sink in and then just shade everything else. And what I'm hoping for is I'm probably going to put another round of wash over these guys too, because I'm hoping that this is going to end up looking like the gray grout inside the bricks.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm okay with it not being everywhere because it's an old sewer, right? So it's supposed to be a little run down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Grey Knights, 6 models, 1,000 points. See? Exactly. Or back in the day with the Space Wolves.
So hey Haven, what paint do you use?
What paint am I using? Oh, okay. So like for tile
Everybody
painting.
uses different paints.
Okay, yeah. So for tile painting, I go with literally like the cheapest paint there is out there because I like the fact that it fills everything in. This is, I want to say, the gray, because I was painting so many dungeon tiles and stuff, and everything was based off in gray, and then I was either darkening or lightening it. So yeah, literally just let's see if I can make this work right. American Deco Art giant jug of gray.
That I got for like $5 at Michael's.
Yeah, $5 at Michael's. Most of the other paints will also be Apple Barrel, which I think is the one you can pick up at Walmart. And
yeah.
Black is the other color, obviously, I use a lot, so we got a big one of that. And I knew I was doing a lot of them, but so like the Red Barn is the red colors, and again, like Joann Fabrics had these guys on sale for $1 a piece for the smaller bottles, so we picked up a bunch. But then I also realized that the acrylic Craft Essentials paint is the exact same color if it's their burgundy. So, literally dollar paints. That's what I use because it just needs to go sloppy on.
So did you see Matt's comment about his squire still waiting on a follow-up video to fighting with heavy weapons that he may have promised him 9 months ago? So...
Because of procrastination or because you're critiquing yourself too much?
Column A and column B.
But yeah, with tiles, I use the cheapest paint possible. I do not use the bigger acrylics because of on model painting, because of the fact that the size of the molecules within the paints don't sit well. The bigger ones sit well with this because, especially with FDM printed tiles, all right, I'm going to see if I can get this to actually zoom in enough. There is, you can still make out my layer lines a little bit. See if this works. Maybe not. Maybe it won't. I think it's too shiny right now. But my layer lines are still there. But using the bigger, thicker paints help fill in all of those gaps in those layer lines so that it's not nearly as apparent on the on the finished product. When it comes to model paints, I'll admit I'm also kind of a cheapskate.
What?
So like, I have a lot of like the model color from that we picked up from Vallejo. there was a hobby store here that we picked up a bunch of this stuff
well,
at.
That says Hobby Lobby on
And,
it.
oh, no, it says Hobby Lobby on it. But then we were in Holland a couple of months ago now. Back in November. Yeah, for my birthday, we were up in Holland, and we found this art supply store that had a bunch of Citadel paints at half off. So these were like I think they were normally like $4.25. So we paid like $2 a bottle. And so I ended up actually going back twice because we were walking around downtown, and we ended up buying I spent like $20 on it and got like 10 things of paint.
But it's good Citadel.
But it's good Citadel paint. But I also found, where was it? The actual honest to God D&D ones. Fanfare had these on sale at one point, and so I picked up the bundle of them. So I do like the actual model paints because of the smaller paint molecules, and it sinks better when you're doing, the dry brushing and the washing into the deeper, to the smaller grooves and details. I will state this: I still suck at faces. I totally still suck at faces. But yeah, you guys are seeing like literally what my normal like.
Do you have the genie to show like what Christie's painted? It's right behind you.
I do. So yeah, I will say this much: I love what my daughter has been doing. She's really kind of taken it to the next level when with helping me with the painting. I like picking up a bunch of the models, and because I need them for the monster or the fact that it's going to be something I want to use later on. And I'm going to finish throwing this wash down real quick, and I'll show you the genie that Christy painted. Christy's got a really nice, very steady hand when it comes to painting. Here we go. So this was the djinn that she painted.
There you go.
Let's see if I can get a little better. No, I think the light's actually causing it to be too much. I wonder if I can turn this light down if it helps. Let's see if that helps. A little bit better. I keep forgetting that it's backwards. It keeps wanting to focus on my hand. But, yeah, there's the genie that she was painting up for us. I keep picking up the models because I want to throw them into the games. So I've told Christy, anything back here that is... Oh, but hand behind model. Oh.
It's not in the camera. It's not showing up. There we go. There's a serious delay.
There is. Well, that's Twitch for you. I'm learning how to do these things. It's much better. I'll take some pictures and show you guys. She's got a really good steady hand when it comes to getting in on some of these details. We're still working, maybe on some of the dry brush work and some of the, washes and stuff like that. But on the most part, I've told her I have tons of models back here that I haven't painted because I've just wanted them for the model, because we're about to use it. Or you have a druid who loves to wild shape. So I've got bears and stags and panthers and stuff like that we picked up. Or a gorgon that we picked up so that we can, because it was cool. Actually, I will say this much. One of the local game stores, and I will totally throw a shout out to local game stores, Perfect Storm up in Battle Creek, had awesome Black Friday sales on D&D minis, and I went up and dropped a bunch of money for myself. I know it was Black Friday, but we went up and I picked up probably I know I picked up like 8 blisters, but it was 4 of the large monsters and then 4 of the double packs with like the werebear, the werewolf, the were-tiger, that kind of stuff. And so we picked all of those up, and then I have them, and the djinn, that was part of that. I got a hooked horror too. And yeah, we're totally going to do more of those.
Disregard the don't sound.
Yeah,
anybody just heard
that was the dog.
Slipped down the stairs running up it.
Yep. So this is totally just the way that I do it. And by all means, if anybody has better suggestions on the way to do this, feel free, but this is just the way that I was taught and the way that I learned how to do mass painting. I mean, some things have transferred when it comes to the fact that, like, I was taught by an artist always to use the very tips of the bristles and try not to dip it in, unless of course you're doing washes and dry brushing and stuff. And I have like this one brush. Oh, here's one.
And your trick with the syringe to get the water in.
Oh yeah, my syringe from work that was actually made to do adhesive remover. This is what they send you when you order to replace a Mac battery, where you've got to melt the glue to get the battery out. They send me a syringe and a bottle of paint thinner every time. I'm still using the original bottle and original syringe and safety glasses they sent me the first time I did it. But so anyway, this is just the way Haven does it. So if you have better techniques, feel free to shout it out. I totally will take advice from everybody else. I may or may not do it. But that's the goal. The goal here is to make these look like the red brick sewers in like London or somewhere like that. Let's see. What other things can we talk about that are D&D related? What else did we do recently?
I mean, my dice tower you printed too.
Oh yeah. No, I love the dice tower I printed off was really a nice addition. It'll look really cool when it comes to.
And it's not as loud as I thought it would.
Yeah, I know. Yours is not nearly as loud as the giant mage hand one I printed.
It's because mine is enclosed.
I think so. I think it is.
So it buffers the sound.
They have I was trying to think of other like D&D tips and hints. Oh yeah, the one that everybody apparently that not many other people have talked about before was the whole scabbard thing. Like, dude, if you have not looked at scabbard, I highly recommend it for managing your campaigns. 110%.
And I am a bad player. I have not logged into that in quite a while.
Well, it's really not for the players. Like, I mean, I set it up for me to track everything.
Yeah.
You guys have access to parts of it. If nothing else, I put it there for maybe even in game if you guys are trying to remember lore and stuff. Like, you know, what was the name? Because I mean, there's a difference when you guys are playing, and even if we were playing 4 hours a week, like, you know.
Yeah.
Or even more often, there's still points where there's a break, whereas the characters, this has been continuously going, but as players, you've got 5-6 days in between each game session. That's only a couple of hours of time, which may involve only a half hour of game time, or maybe even weeks of game time, depending on travel and shit.
Yeah.
So keeping track of.
Yeah.
Bob the Builder that you ran into down in...
Well, yeah, it's just, I forget to log into it, to be brutally honest.
So, I highly recommend it if you are trying to keep track of worlds. The intuitive tracker that they designed, that as you make entries, asks you, is this a person, place, or thing in your campaign, and do you want to make a new entry for this after everything, really works well. It's not great, but it helps you pick out some of those things and immediately add them in. My favorite way to do that was actually to I would write up a story about an item, let's say, and I would then enter that story into it. Even if I wrote it in Google Docs and then went in and put it somewhere else, I would then do it would then go through that whole story and go, is this a person? Is this a character? Is this an NPC? Is this item you mentioned important? Should we remember it? And I'm able to then make entries. And then as a DM, I can make some of those entries secret. And I can make them secret from everybody or just from certain people.
Name of the second barkeeper's daughter's childhood friend, because it's totally important to the plot.
Right. And that's the kind of thing you can keep track of. The other hint I do, which I don't know if anybody else does, before even Zoom happened, I was recording the audio from every game session with a lapel mic on my DM screen, so that I had an audio recording as my notes that I could go back and reference from the entire night, so that we could figure out, again, what voice did I use for that second cousin? Name of the second barkeep's daughter's childhood friend. Right. So what was her name and what voice did I use for that character? And then I can go back and write that shit down in Scabbard so I know.
Damn. Sorry.
Yeah. It's a great tool. If you're not using it for world building, I highly recommend it. The other trope I use in that one though is I wrote a history book, and so anytime I need to give information about the world to the party, it's in the history book that is mentioned a couple of times. And of course, I am an egotistical person, so the name of the history book is, oh, you know what? I'm gonna look that up myself now. Give me a moment. I'm gonna look it up because it was a great name. And then, like, you also can share your scabbard, by the way. You can share it out to other people if you want them to see the
brief and concise history of Farhaven?
Yes, the brief and concise history of Farhaven as told by...
Yeah. I've
yeah.
got it right here. I was just looking at it.
Yeah. The brief and concise history of Farhaven as written by Haven the Bard. Because it's my world.
Yeah, I just had Scabbard up. Ah! And yes, Matt, the Wandering Few is a homebrew.
Oh yeah, Wandering Few is a complete homebrew. I prefer homebrew. I did try. I finally, if you, I don't know if you listen to some of my other videos or gone back through some of the other stuff I've done, I tried to run a canned campaign. I tried to run Tyranny of Dragons. It worked okay, but I found the parts of it that I loved the most were the parts that I pulled out of my ass.
Bowie, no.
So, I love that history and I love that lore that everybody else has, and they can share in that lore, and it's great. And by all means, go for it. Have your fun. Do that. If that's what you enjoy, do Forloom and all that fun. But for me, being able to take a world and literally design it around my players and their characters really, I feel, to me, gives the best role-playing experience to the players, because I feel that I can give them a better chance of actually being part of the story, as opposed to, and I know a lot of people can do it, and I'm okay with playing other people's sandboxes. I don't want to make that sound like I can't, but if it's a matter of trying to make their characters fit in somebody else's sandbox, and even though it's a sandbox, it's still somebody else's sandbox. So being able to take their concept and build the sandbox around them, to me, is a better experience. But that's me, and that's what I like doing. And I still totally steal from all the history of the Sword Coast, like the gods and the lore and some of the cool things that have happened. Totally have pulled that into my own worlds, or just made it. If a player says that this is how it happened, then I just roll with it. Sure, that's what happened. That's the god you worship. Or like in the game we have right now, we have a character, lore is a champion of Talos. Up until the moment he told me that, Talos hadn't existed at all in my world. But you know what? He wants to be a servant of Talos. He can be a servant of Talos. I wonder if Adonis, the player who plays lore, I wonder if he's ever actually going to listen to these. Usually he doesn't. Okay. I'll still keep that one under my hat. I got plans for his character too, which have been in the works since like the beginning of the time, playing these characters. And if you don't give me a backstory as a DM, I make one.
Good artist copy, great artist steal.
What's
Love
the
it,
difference?
Matt. Love it, Matt. Love it.
So does that mean that the only real difference between the two is whether or not you asked permission first? let's see, what other ones can we talk about when it came to player, like, so player, I love giving the backstories and coming up with how the story in the world is going to come around from that. Christie's first campaign is a great example of that. She came to me when she first wanted to play D&D, and I asked her what kind of character. She said the first thing she said wasn't a class, wasn't anything else. It was the fact that she wanted to have a giant raccoon as a pet. That was the start of it. And I then took that and ran with it for, what are we going to do? How can I do this? And we ended up going with a ranger and then changing the rules slightly so that she had her pet from the very beginning as opposed to coming in at level 3. And we designed an entire gnome village that breeds dire animals and then pairs them with the gnomes for training at birth. So like or as a toddler, when you're a toddler, you are then put in with these giant animals and you choose one to bond with and to train and to teach. And then that is how that village raises its money and makes money, is that it is known for breeding dire animals and like the best of them. Through that, dire coon. But through that, I was able to go back and resurrect an old character that I had done where it was Dwarven heavy cavalry with plate mail wearing dwarves riding giant armadillos. And so this same gnome village is the reason why there are dire armadillos. Or dire-dillos? I don't know. That's too close to being dirty. We're not calling them dire-dillos. Nope. Nope, not doing it. But yeah, so this whole gnome village got known for raising dire creatures. And so if you wanted a giant whatever or a dire whatever, you came to them and would ask them to breed it for you. And it may take them a while, but that's what they would do. And so that's how she started off, with her gnome ranger riding a giant raccoon. And by giant, I mean horse-sized. And then add the fact that she's a gnome. So she's itty-bitty on top of this, a kid riding a giant raccoon. One of my favorite sequences, though, is that was the game for Horde of the Dragon Queen. I originally created that character for her own private game, and then she wanted to play it again when we did Horde of the Dragon Queen. It was in the very opening sessions of that game. She had the raccoon run in to protect a bunch of children and surround them. And it was hysterical as these children are riding into town, or riding into the center of town on the back of a giant hood. See? It's not just me. We're going to say that it's everybody else's.
Oof. Whew.
Yeah. See? Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep. These are our friends.
Yeah, we're not doing this. Not doing this anymore.
Nope, you did it. You did it.
Nope.
You started it.
We're just going to call them giant. They're just giant armadillos. We're not... they can have giant... They don't call it a dire eagle. They call it a giant eagle. We're going to call it a giant armadillo.
You started it.
But, yeah. So, no, I love homebrewing everything. Or, not everything. Homebrewing a bunch of it, though. So, I hope these end up looking like sewers. I didn't even actually get to the minis yet. Oh, well. We'll go for a little bit longer while I finish painting up the rest of these, and then we'll call it. I think maybe next week I'll work on minis, or 2 weeks. I keep doing back and forth whether I want to do this every week or whether I want to do it every other. Because I will admit, I watch on Tuesday nights. We usually watch Talks Machina.
We are not missing Talk.
But it's every other.
Down here, I'll watch Talk.
Yeah, no, I know. What I'm thinking is like, if we did move it to earlier, like you suggested, and start doing it at like 8, I could do it for an hour and then be done before they are. But part of the reason I did this at 9, by the way, for my friends who are local, is because my family is not. My family is out of Seattle. And I wanted to give them a chance to actually be able to check in on what I'm doing. And it's only like, at 9 o'clock, it's only 6 o'clock in Seattle. So that's part of this. I'm probably driving some poor artist absolutely batshit by watching me dip this entire brush and use it to stir. But this was a cheap brush, and I don't care. And I just want to slap the paint on. Some art student somewhere is screaming if they see this video. No, my God. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. But yeah, lots of washing, and then I do a lot of dry brushing, and it's all about layers. And I'm pretty sure any other person will tell you the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes time, and this is just me going through and doing them to a bunch of different tiles. Do check in later. We're going to take photos actually this week once we get the last of the tapestries up, and we're going to show you guys the rest of this game room that we put together. A lot of help from my wife, by the way. I would totally give Kala a whole bunch of credit for that, for doing a lot of the cleaning that made the space available so that we could start building like this giant game table that I'm sitting at. And then she helped order all the tapestries that we just got in to put up to hide the really crappy walls until I can get a chance to rebuild the walls, which I'm going to do out of the deck boards from my deck that I have to pull off. So, recycling, right? Yay, toast. There we go. Maybe not the most exciting, but this is what you do. Yeah, we're still on hot pink, by the way, just in case anybody wondered. I haven't changed colors yet. All the stuff that's currently coming out the printer is in black, though, because I really wanted to have a black base for some of the stuff that I've been printing, like this guy, but we'll talk about him in a minute.
Stop licking the floor, you moron.
Yeah, if you're hearing Callie yell at the dog has decided that this is the perfect moment to lick the floor. So
I don't know what he's licking. It's got me concerned. It's the basement. Lord only knows what's on this floor.
Dirt.
Honestly, Lord only knows. Those people who previously lived here, Lord only knows what could be on this floor.
Very true. This, the room we're in, we think was actually some teenager's bedroom, I think is what we finally...
I don't know what it was. A hot mess.
It was a hot mess, and there was a bed down here.
Mm-hmm.
I really can't wait for these sewers to be done, because I'm really hoping they come out pretty well, and I'm going to give you guys a different experience. I realized that a lot of the stuff I was doing was a lot of grays and blacks, and while it looks really cool for dungeon work, it wasn't that cool, like... I wanted a color change. I did a sulfur cavern. It didn't really come out the way I wanted it to. It was still really, really yellow and didn't have... I lost a lot of the texture in it, I think.
Iggy licks the floor, too. It's a dog thing.
It's a dog thing just to lick the floor?
Mm-hmm.
Does Iggy like go running outside to jump in the snow and then roll around and spend most of the time when he should be peeing just playing? Because that's what Bowie does.
Oh, stinker. 10 minutes to roll in the grass for 2 seconds to go pee. It's annoying. What are you eating? Oh my jeez, I don't even want to know anymore. I'm done.
Alright, I got 3 more left. We're just gonna wash. I thought I'd do the reds this time around, but nope. I think I want more gray in here before I start getting into the reds. Try and get that grout look going.
Matt says maybe if they actually had snow, and he usually just barks at shadows.
Oh, okay. You guys don't have any snow down there anymore, or did it just all melt away? Because we still have...
We have patches.
We got ice, actually. We have lots of ice.
Well, we have a few patches of some snowy, mushy yuckiness.
Yeah, that's what we have. Let's see, what other things can we talk about for D&D that
all
actually...
All shadows at 1 a.m.
At 1 a.m. Yeah, that makes...
Billy's usually in bed by that point.
Yep. Let's see. I will say this much, actually, if I think if Corbin might still be paying attention to this at all, I will say that I was very, very happy that I got to actually DM a one-shot for his birthday. Had a lot of fun with that, and with a bunch of players who I'd never played.
I don't know, what's his login?
DM for like Casey Corbin, I think is what it's under.
I don't see his name.
But he was on in the beginning. But no, I got a one shot as a birthday present to a kid for his 16th birthday. with him and 3 of his friends, and that was awesome, and had a lot of fun doing that. I do think they were trying to stretch my my DM abilities by coming up with some craziness. And we did bend the rules a bit here and there because of the fact that we were dealing with a one-shot scenario versus a long campaign. And one of them, the birthday kid, really wanted to try out playing an artificer, which we realized a lot of those abilities have timestamps on them that just don't work real well for one-shotting, like making special items and stuff. So we kind of bent the rules a bit there. But it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend doing one-shots, especially with the new book that D&D just announced that they're doing. Basically, is a giant book of one-shots based on a library with books in it. Oh my gosh, where did they steal that concept from? Alright. Well, Matt, you didn't see this when I did this before, but this was the one I just pulled off my printer. Something they'll be fighting here soon. Not quite as nice as some of the stuff from the resin work that you can do, but I think still pretty spiffy for off of my FDM printer. The only spot that's a little messed up is here on the back side, because I printed this guy face up. You can see that there's a bald spot where it hit the build plate and the layer lines, but this is on his back side, and I'm pretty sure I can just file a bunch of that off.
He's got a flat skull.
But this was the front, and I still think the front came out looking pretty wicked. 10 points to Gryffindor if you can tell me what this is. Oh yeah, since you're on, hey Matt, I will send you the link to the guy. There's a gentleman who his mission is to make every single monster in the monster manual an STL file for every single one of them and offer it for free.
And he says who looks at the back anyway.
Right. So yeah, this is the thing that just came off this weekend. I have a very large print coming that will be coming. I don't know if I want to use the regular acrylics or if I want to use the model paints for this guy, because I kind of want a little bit of that fill-in aspect of it. But he needs to be painted in bone. I have a good bone color that actually literally says ivory on it, so I'm thinking it might be the best. The problem is what I need to do first though is get him glued onto his base so he doesn't wobble around or pull the spinny head thing. And then I can use my handy dandy nifty holders for it. Yeah, this guy. Another thing that you can pick up, which I don't know if this would be any help to anybody painting minis that I know, is a miniature holder. But then, let's see if I can do this with one-handing it. Matt gets it in one.
Well, two.
Two?
You originally said Undead Beholder.
Same thing. There is a zombie beholder, but no, this is the Death Tyrant. I have a zombie beholder. It's way up there. But no, yeah, they're fighting. They're going to be facing
he has
a Death
the monster manual next to him. Cheater!
Yeah, so yeah, no, totally a Death Tyrant. But yeah, I'm going to get this thing glued together so that I can put him in this guy and make it a lot easier for me to hold while painting it. Totally makes it a lot easier. So that's probably what I'm going to do next.
And Jen was asking, what kind of printer do you have? She never asked when you printed the mass bands.
I have an Ender 3 Pro with a glass bed, and I have added the smaller style Bowden tubes to allow me to have less give and take, less movement of the filament inside of it. The translation of that is I did that so that I could print with a TPU style filament, so I can actually make rubber. I'm actually working on printing off some rubber face masks. That is one of the other projects. Now that I have a second printer coming, I can probably work on without feeling like I'm losing out on something else. Because I've also been doing other projects with it, not just like these guys. Let me get him glued real quick. Where did I throw the glue? And then I will show you guys the other project. Did anybody see the TikTok story that went around of the gentleman who complained about his Parkinson's pills and the fact that they're super small and kind of hard for somebody who, like, I don't know, has Parkinson's to be able to get a hold of. And then that meant that somebody else went and took that and then went and learned how to make 3D models, but didn't have a 3D model or a 3D printer. So he made a model for a pill bottle to be able to shotgun the Parkinson's pills. And then he opened up that STL to people who then took it, modified it, played around with it, showed them where he'd done it, and they've come out with a couple different versions. Well, I saw that story come across, and so I went and I found the pill bottle, and I'm printing off a bunch for friends of mine who've got not just Parkinson's, but also various other neurological issues that cause tremors and shakes and stuff that make it hard to get a hold of the pills. So the funny story is I'm printing off these guys already off of my printer, and Christy comes in and actually takes a look at the printer and goes, "Hey, what's that? Wait a minute. Is that the Parkinson's bottle that I saw on TikTok?" And sure enough, I was already ahead of the game a little bit and printing them off, because that's part of what I love about that kind of community, or at least the 3D printing community as a whole, I should say, is the ability to not only be able to quickly make stuff.
Well, they find a problem,
they find a problem and they fix it.
Mm-hmm.
There was tons of stories about the 3D printing communities printing off PPE when the start of the pandemic stuff. Whether it would just be braces for face shields for the hospitals, or the ear savers like I was printing, or like now where I've actually modified my printer, I can print in rubber.
Too cool, Dad.
I can print in rubber to actually make a face mask that can actually flush mount to your face and cover it, and then uses a makeup pad for the filter, by the way. And not only that, but then it also makes all of your own breath go sideways. Actually, you breathe from this way. The vents go this way, and then you breathe in from this way. So you're not even breathing the air coming towards you. You're breathing the air from beside you. But yeah, no, I have an Ender 3. Ender 3 Pro, two of them now.
Jen has an Ender 3. Had it for over a year, just hasn't set it up.
This is the disappointment face. If you want, I can send you a great video on how to actually set up the Ender that shows you how to avoid a bunch of the pitfalls. While it is a great machine, there's a little bit of tolerance issues, specifically in the gantry, that
you want your blankie.
If you follow a couple easy steps when you're setting it up, we'll make sure they stay in line. And it's not something that will stop the printer from printing. It's the stuff that will help it not have uneven wear and tear, like on your bearings and your rollers and stuff like that. So, all right. Death Tyrant is
There you go, Bowie.
glued. We're going to slide him over and out of the way. While I do that, I'm going to take apart this pill bottle real quick. I try to. While I try and figure out how I'm going to... I popped this thing together to make sure it works, and I didn't follow the instructions that said I had to glue the top on.
There you go.
So... Everybody watch Alan struggle! Even struggling!
I was watching Bowie spin around like 20 times, fluffing the blanket to lay down.
Yep. Haven's struggling. Struggle, boss! Alright, well, you know what? We're going to do this
Jen
a little bit.
says they were finishing school and rescuing cats. And it would be awesome and much appreciated to send the file.
Sure. Hey, the funny thing is that I'm going to sound like a guy who just has drank all the fluid from this company. It's actually Tom Tullis from Fat Dragon Games, his video. I will admit, I found Fat Dragon Games, and the owner-creator of Fat Dragon Games, Tom Tullis, has a whole YouTube channel where he literally states, buy this printer, an Ender 3, set it up this way, use this profile written for Cura, so download Cura Slicer, use this profile that he made, and print tiles. And then you can just start printing the tiles and get stuff.
Posted the link to Fat Dragon Games again.
He has great videos on that. Also, how to do the bed leveling, how to little nicks and tricks and stuff like that, on how to avoid pitfalls and stuff like that. But yeah, so this is that pill bottle. The point of it actually is that you fill it in with the meds in the bottom, then pop the spinny part in, and the spinny part has a divot for the pill. So once it's full, You just spin it until you get one pill lined up in the chute, basically, and you keep spinning it until it happens, and then you can... Oh, hey, if you hear that, I live next to a fire station, just FYI. And then you can pop back the pill one at a time. It doesn't matter if your hands are shaking. I already had 2 friends of mine say they wanted these, so... Yeah, here's a better... I need to really clean out the inside of this one before I put it together, I guess, actually. So there's the inside. Whoever designed the STL file for this told the printer that the inside of this was actually not seen, and that's why I have stringing. If you tell in the file, there's a way to actually tell it that this is seen and not to move the nozzle across it, and it gets rid of all of the stringing. Or it actually uses the retraction. I think this actually wasn't retracting at all. But that's terminology that, in case you're into 3D printing, you might want to know. I didn't realize how bad this one was until I got under really good lights. I need to do it. Oh, how do you get rid of this, by the way? If you have a question about that, a heat gun.
Yep.
Just blow the heat gun in it, and it just melts all the little stringies right off. And then it'll be fixed up. But I think, actually, I got the Death Tyrant done. Or at least he's glued at this point. I don't think there's actually much else I had to do, because most of the stuff's got to dry before I can do any more on it or put any more washes on it. That's one of my big complaints about some of this, is that I can do a whole bunch of tiles, but then because I'm really kind of sloppy with it, I have to wait for them to dry or get a fan over the top of them. So there's, yeah, that's about it. Actually, so what's other stuff we're going to be painting next time, though? I think I'll hold this guy off. I got from Deep Cuts, I got their giant scorpion. Because you know, deserts. I really like the idea of giant scorpions.
I don't.
So we'll work on that guy later. Where's the other one? I had something else. Yeah, I showed you guys the Gorgon.
Yeah, on top of the cube.
But yeah, some of where's it? I was actually trying to find one of the other FDM ones that I printed.
I don't know.
So here's a cool one that I found. So, hey, look, it's just a pile of rocks. No, it's not. It's a roper. So I have both, so I can actually have them out. And the roper model is also from Fat Dragon. Kinda, I really like it. I did that with the red eye, and specifically to match in with all my cavern tiles that I painted up in this red-brown kind of motif. Kind of simple. But I also use these guys for the ropers that were infested with an illithid tadpole, which, by the way, if you've never looked at them, are vicious. Picture a roper that can do psionic, like psychic attacks and like control monsters and stuff. They're vicious. And then this is the other one I printed a long time ago. This was one of the first ones I did. This was a zombie snake.
Tentacles, classy.
That was done on one of the very first ones I did on my FDM, on my. And again, I just did simple dry brushing. But partially the reason for this is, oh crap, I want a giant snake model. Oh, here's one. Printed it, painted it, had it on the table within 24 hours. So.
Yeah. Well, and isn't that one you added like the little stone flecks?
Oh yeah.
To give it a little bit.
So
of
yeah, I
texture
actually a whole because it was such a big base. I added a. This is the dollar store, like gray sand that you can buy. For like doing flower arrangements.
You can kind of pick it up a little in the light.
You can? Okay, yep. There we go. Yep. So yeah. So it's actually there's some dog hair too. Gosh, you can't tell we have dogs or cats. But yeah, so I did a bit of flocking this because it was such a big black base when I printed it. So.
Well, and that's another fun tip is using like the dollar store mosses and sands and stuff to use them on your bases to give texture. I
have an entire bin of the. I use it for making bushes. Originally, when I did wargaming, we do like lines of bushes and stuff, and it's all just that really crappy dollar store, like spongy material that they would use for filler in artificial flower arrangements. So, yeah. And if you really want, I already have the files and everything, but if Matt, who's been painting a lot of minis, or if Jen wants to paint minis, this is their miniature holder. I love this thing. It is such a game
yeah.
changer.
From a mat.
Yeah, and they have 3 different sizes for the bases. So here's my Haven the Hare mini, because that's right. I need to come up with a way to do this better. I made a miniature and Hero Forge of an actual rabbit dressed as me in my garb, because
Wonder
I'm me.
where you got that thought process from.
Yeah, no, I wonder. So I got the mini made up, and then so this is their 1-inch one, and then they have 1.5 inch for like medium-sized monsters, and then a 2-inch one that you can click on, and then it all clicks onto their base, and then I have this guy filled with sand, so it has some weight to it. I'm gonna probably print off like 2 or 3 of them, so that because I get tired of popping this guy off and swapping, or having to pull it apart and move it, as I'm always afraid I'm gonna hit like the wet paint. So I'm gonna probably print off a bunch more of these guys. But if anybody else wants them that are friends of mine, just let me know. I'll print them off for you guys. They're stupid simple. It just takes. It's just time.
I believe Matt wants one.
Matt wants one? Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. And I'll get you like the 3 different sizes too. This is the most common, obviously, for minis, but monsters, I use this guy a lot more. You can't tell because this is a brand new one. I broke my other one.
Whereas when Christy's painting, she doesn't like using them. She likes just holding it.
Yep, she likes holding them, but I am old and my fingers twitch. And
Christy has a more stable hand.
Yes, Christy has a more, and I will find I do hold it like this, but it gives me something to hold down here. I don't know about anybody else, but I used to get cramps like right here in my pinky.
Right in the
when I'd be holding it like this, I get this cramp like right down through here. Yeah, that sucks. All right, I don't think there's actually much more I had to paint tonight, so I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna probably see about trying to paint up the Death Tyrant. Oh, okay, yeah. Did anybody miss this? I can't really get it all in the camera. Move the paint bin.
He has a ton of table legs with plumber's putty that he uses to hold the minis down.
This is my wife's rainbow-colored Tardis dice tower. This was probably the single largest print that I did on my FDM so far. We'll do another one. We'll do this guy. So yeah, this thing took a day and a half. It was like 1 day, 10 hours, and some odd minutes.
Yeah, it took probably close to 35, 36 hours total.
We have other models that may have taken actually, or flip cameras. I can do things like that. So we have some models that I did where, like, individually the pieces were bigger and probably took longer. But this is the first longest single piece print that I did. And again, in the color changing filament. And she really likes it. It goes well with because actually I do think the jewelry box took longer total.
Yes, because it wasn't a solid piece. It
right.
Would be printed individually.
I had the frame, which took like a day or like.
Then you had the doors.
20 hours.
Then you had all the drawers.
Yeah, then 2 doors, and then there's 5 drawers in it, and then so grand total it probably took longer. But this right here was the single longest consecutive print that I did, or consistent print that we did. I have a couple of things that I would have done differently. I didn't put any supports on it because I didn't want to waste any of this really nice filament, and it left a few little ridges underneath here. But nobody sees it, and my wife keeps reminding me that nobody cares. So yeah.
And if anybody wants one, he'll print it, but not in the rainbow. That's mine.
Yeah, and it will never come out the same way either, because it all depends on where the rainbow starts too.
I want the only rainbow one that you printed.
Well, the other rainbow, not rainbow Tardis, but I printed the mage hand tower.
Okay, the mage hand,
and that one was really cool.
The Tardis, no, that's mine.
Yeah, that'll be yours. So I think I'm probably gonna then call it for tonight, guys. I'm gonna probably do it again. I don't know. I was still debating if I do decide to do it next week with the same thing at Tux Machina. I might do it.
Other.
But right now, I'm planning is to do every other, and then.
Well, Matt said he doesn't get out of work till 9, so that way he can jump on a little right after and not miss too much. But
we'll do. I will probably work on some more tiles in between. So I'm not gonna hold off and like only paint these guys. Yeah, now in this picture you can see it. Here's my tray. Here's my tray full of tiles. Okay.
Tip the camera down or pick the tray up, whatever do.
Yeah, there's the tray. And then that's not including the ones I stuck over here that were gray that I stuck behind me. I do. I just go through and I just paint one color on everything. I do all the washes. I do wash after wash after wash after wash. It gets a little tedious, but it really does end up being some of the best. This is one of the ones, like I said, that is basically done. I will be putting this onto the tile. But there are other ones that come in multiple pieces and stuff like that I have to do other coloration on. That makes it a little harder to paint. If you maybe next time I can actually bring out some of the stuff, because I can do the fire pits. I have LED flickering light campfires that I printed off in a translucent filament. So I'm going to paint just the wood and the dirt around it, and then leave the actual yellow filament unpainted, and then put the flicker LED inside of it with a watch battery, and then the whole campfire will light. And that should be a really cool technique. I have them all printed. I just haven't bothered to grab them to paint yet, because I haven't ambushed my players in their campsite in a while, and so I haven't had a need for them yet. So maybe we should totally get the campfires ready for I don't know, midnight.
I quit.
But so I have been Haven the Hare. Thank you guys for watching. The few friends of mine who did charge in. I'm going to do this just because I do like sharing my passion. I do love talking about it. I will try and come up with a couple of things to talk about next week. Probably more talking about the D&D side of the DM side of whatever happens. I'm just going to talk about the highlights, because that was the part that I really enjoyed the most when I was doing the campaign diaries. I could give you guys the full synopsis of everything they did, but let's face it, a lot of times you guys don't care about how they slept unless you're kinky. Most of the time you just want the highlight reel, and that's what I'm going to go focus on. So unless anybody has any questions, Cal and I are going to call it quits. Go take a shower. So we'll come back in 2 weeks. We'll do this again, and there'll be more painting, and I'll talk about what miniatures we come across at that point. I'll probably have a few more. We'll show off what Christy has also been painting at the station upstairs. Until then, I will say that I'm going to start saying this because I don't think it's said enough. I love you all, and may you make all of life's saving throws.